Yeah, that's the update. That's the update. Okay. Something where we can talk about it. So it'll be completely different. But the process, nice to be back. I don't know. Basically what you were working on previously, it's bad. It'll be longer. It'll get longer. You get that like oh yeah, well it's gonna be ramp up. Yeah. The red sauce? Oh, the red one.
We're not people who are going to make a good single break.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Wireless.
Well, you know what? We were joking about it because autumn is like our world. Hey, she was joking about three pages away from the gaming industry. So she was asking the neighbors and connections on my LinkedIn. And then autumn here is just like this. So in touch with everyone.
What TV is this?
What TV is this? Okay, I'm gonna call Sam. Can't find it.
What room is this called?
This is the main space.
Oh my goodness. But then she starts going like,
So we need to hold this.
Oh, never mind. I figured it out. Can I get is that volume?
Yes. Should. But we should put it
oh my god.
Hey, Josh has a question.
Yeah, I found the mics. We're 3 mics out. 2 mics or a wire mic.
Thank you. Actually, we have all 3 mics. Just that we can have a conversation.
was just wondering what TV that was, and I figured it out.
Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah, we'll flip this one more time. Just
Definitely should do that. You are more
can have these chairs shut in. They're going to be sitting there. So all of a sudden,
making your way to the front. There's some extra seats there on the wall in the corner right there. 4, so the first 4 to them. And we're going to get started in about 5 minutes, so grab food, grab drinks, start making your way to the front, please. Thanks.
The door is shut. Can all panelists make their way to the front? All panelists, please make their way to the little bit of seating over here as well. Packed house. Schwartz, make your way up here.
Hey, Benjamin. Sign seating.
No, Robert.
It's like celebrity deathmatch or something. Or... Hey, long time no see. How are you? Fantastic. Play. Got some wine.
If I want to sit next to you, I want to sit next to you, right? You gotta put the Schwartz on the other end.
Yeah.
That's the real VR side.
Yeah.
Start with water.
Guys, this is awesome.
Perform a miracle. It's really good.
It's kind of unfortunate though that there are no females on this one.
I'm about to make an announcement. Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for coming tonight. Oh my gosh, look at this room. This is awesome. We apologize for lack of seats. There's a few more in the corner over here for those that need to sit. Since this is going to be such an incredible panel tonight, we want to make sure that we're using 2 hashtags on all social media platforms that you're tweeting out about. So hashtag 1 is Media ATX, and hashtag 1, Media ATX. Media ATX. Hashtag 2, VR Austin. VR Austin. Also, incredible panel, right? But a lack thereof of females. So any AR, VR females in the audience, step up after this panel. Come find me, please.
We see you, Trisha Katz.
Yeah.
We see you.
We want to make sure that you're on here next time. So awesome. Without further ado, Josh Rubin.
Hey, everybody. All right. So for how many of you have come to previous panels? Good number. Good regulars. Many of you realize I was not here last time. I was not here because I was at the DNC, and so I'm going to open, and the RNC, which was crazy. Let me see if this works. There we go. And I'm showing this for a very specific reason.
Hi everybody, Charmander here for BitTorrent News and the Daily Dot. It's night 4 of the Republican National Convention, and Donald Trump will accept the nomination for president, but all anybody can talk about is Senator Mike Lee's incendiary comments 2 nights ago that Pokemon Go isn't fun at all. I can't for the life of me figure out what is fun. What is fun about Pokemon Go? Well, we're gonna find out what the delegates think. The real people who make the decisions. Let's go. Right now, Charmander style. Agree with Senator Mike.
Yes, I do. I was 100% in all the issues. Yes.
Have you ever played Pokemon Go?
I don't know what that is.
Everybody that plays Pokemon Go are the stupidest people in the world.
I don't even know about Pokemon Go. The concept of the following an avatar around where people just blindly go and fall off cliffs and things.
For kids under 10 years old or 5-year-olds or whatever, they want to sit there and do that, I don't care. Adults should maybe try and watch this. Make things great for America.
So can I get points by just talking to you here?
Absolutely not. That's not the game. And you should feel bad that you didn't know the rules.
But I found them.
They're all around.
They were actually in my rabbi's office.
The Pokemon?
And there was a crab.
Oh.
And he was like, I don't know if this is kosher.
What level are you, if you don't mind me asking?
11.
You are level 11?
So I show that for 2 basic reasons. One, Pokemon Go is in many ways the first incredible success in the AR space. Incredibly popular. Literally, there were delegates on the floor of both the RNC and the DNC playing this game constantly. And the actual convention was a gym that various people kept taking over. And the other side of that was I felt like literally, like, how can this be real life? Like I was sitting in some kind of virtual reality environment. And if there was ever proof that we're living in a simulation, it's the RNC. But I digress. Happy to be back. Thank you all for coming out to our panel this evening, which is how do we make Austin the VR capital of the universe? With me now is this fantastic panel who I will ask to introduce themselves in a minute. What we're going to be talking about are a couple of different things. You know how these go. They're very casual conversations. I'm Josh Rubin. I'm the Managing Director of Video for the Daily Dot, as well as the Director of CF Studios here at Capital Factory. And I'm a TV guy. I'm an online media guy. I'm a production guy and have been for years and years and years. And this VR thing is just sneaking up on all of us. So I would say I know a decent amount, but not nearly as much as these folks here, and I'd be willing to bet a large assortment of you in the audience. What I look to do with these series is try to break down the silos in the various parts of the Austin media scene. Because we're not New York, we're not LA. We're better in a lot of ways, but it also means that we all have to be talking to each other. The VR people need to be talking to the media community. The journalists need to be talking to the radio people need to be talking to the print people, because that's the only way that we can successfully fuck New York and LA as hard as humanly possible. My first question, just general to the audience, is how many people here are VR people? Very good. How many people here are just standard media people? Video, everything in between. Cool. So that's about the mix that I was hoping for, because we've got a lot of game designers up here and a few folks from other ends of the VR spectrum, but ultimately, my interest is around narrative, and I don't know a single shooter who knows how to shoot in VR for the kind of narrative storytelling that I want to do. How do we build a stronger community in this town that's producing that kind of content? I know my company is definitely interested in finding ways of partnering and paying for and making money and driving revenue, which is the other part of this conversation, which is the only way we make Austin the VR capital of the universe is if there's money there. So how do we monetize? How do we drive revenue? How can we all make a living doing what it is that we love? So without further ado, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. Please keep it short-ish. So we can get to the questions. We'll have a conversation. We'll open it up to the audience. It'll be a good time for everybody. So, to my left.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Durham, the founder and chief immersive officer of Thrillbox in Austin.
My name is Austin, founder and CEO of Subversive, a 360 VR company here making content for brands and agencies.
You can keep that one, Tarun. I think you have a wireless mic in your lap. Button on the bottom. Possibly.
Hello?
One more time. Press that button once.
Hello?
Hello? There we go.
There we go. I'm Tarun. I'm the founder CEO of Mutual Mobile. And we just launched a VR division earlier this year. And now we have a team of 15 people building VR apps for big brands like Nestle and Johnson & Johnson. And I can tell you there is money in VR. Our revenues have been doubling month over month. So it's an exciting time to be in the space.
Hi, I'm Finn Staber. I'm the co-founder and tech wizard at The Wave VR, and we're a virtual reality DJ, music performance and creation platform. And I also am a programmer designer at Portalarium, working on Shot of the Avatar.
I'm Britt White. I'm a managing partner at TKM Labs, and we're primarily focused on enterprise platforms and then marketing and content creation for brands.
My name is Alex Schwartz, and I run Alchemy Labs. We're a game studio and VR development studio here in Austin. Also, along with a number of other people in this room, Sai and Autumn and others, run VR Austin, which is the main largest meetup here. It's actually, I think, the largest VR meetup outside of California, with 1,600 members, and our company is the developing job simulator for a number of VR platforms, as well as Rick and Morty's VR game. And Ben really cut himself short. I think you should really jump in there.
What do you do?
We didn't know the length.
What do you do, Ben?
Yeah, Ben.
So, Thrillbox is a streaming data management platform. So we actually analyze in real time how audiences engage immersive content, so we can use that information to monetize the experiences.
Monetizing how?
So in the short time, we monetize it through the use of that data being tied to programmatic advertising platforms to actually trigger traditional digital mobile advertisements.
So we're talking banner ads in VR games?
No, we're talking about taking the behavior of an end user in a VR experience and using that information to place a traditional ad, not in VR, but when you're regularly experiencing your mobile device. So if you have a banner ad that comes up in the user interface or a 2D video that comes up within the user interface of that.
So because I highly engage with the soda machine in Job Simulator, suddenly on my Facebook feed, I'm seeing Coca-Cola. Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
Mountain Dew specifically?
Right, or yeah, if that's whatever Alex
gamers,
wants,
yeah.
right? But so it's programmatic, right? So the idea is that, you know, you have Red Bull that has your choose your own flavor type of approach to their new branding models, and we can decrease the cost for the production of 360 video by having more products placed inside of it. End users are inherently intrigued about what objects are within the environment, and that exposure, the fact that it's viewable, it's within the field of view of the end user, is valuable data to show interest, potentially, or disinterest by an end user for something that's in front of them. And that streaming set of information isn't tied to just a specific event, so it's just naturally seeing how head motion operates and then monetizing that passive collection of data.
All right, keep the mic for a second, because this is a good place to start, and that comes down to business model. Each of you have different business models in the world of VR. Starting here, the business model seems to be a combination of selling data and programmatic ads for companies that can.
Yeah, so our model is actually threefold. We assist different brands or advertising agencies that are trying to break into the space. So we have a creative director, Russell Vargo, who can assist with the placement of 360 video cameras, and actually we work occasionally with Subversive on different projects. Then we have white label distribution tools, including 360 video players written in Swift for iOS, Java for Android, and then a JavaScript player, all of which are integrated with our data acquisition technologies. We also license out our streaming data management platform to existing VR and AR applications, where they can actually integrate our data acquisition technology into their current player and environment, and then we extract that information and analyze it for them. Then that behavioral data is used for placement of ads and transactions.
Does everyone got that? I want to make sure. So the interesting thing about this is that with VR, the business models that I've seen so far has been a lot of, I have a Rio 360 camera, why don't I walk through your office and why don't you pay me to give a 360 view of your office because your audience may want that, which I don't think they do. But Tarun, you're jumping out of your seat. Talk to me.
No. I think this is a really interesting question. Is there money in VR? I think I'm so glad you asked that question. That's like literally what I spend like a lot of my time thinking about, because in fact I think feels like it's the most important question. So there's clearly money in selling headsets. People are already making lots of money doing that, and now there's enough money there. Samsung, HTC, a lot of people are making money. And that's where most of the money is right now. Game development, there's starting to be money. And you know, these guys got funded for $5 million. That's because they're making a lot of money. And they're gonna make a lot more, because their launch title in the new HTC Vive, which is freaking fantastic, congratulations. I really think we should give Alex a big round of applause. He's put VR on the map. Austin VR is now on the map thanks to what you just did. So this is just really, really exciting. So games, there's a lot of money. The question we're asking is, and media, LA, there's 2 big VR meetups. The largest VR meetup in the world is in LA. How many people are there, Alex?
Too many.
Yeah, like
they basically turned VR LA into a full-size conference that they hold.
Yep.
There's 6,300 this year.
6,300.
Yeah.
6,300 people. The meetup got so big now they have a West LA VR meetup and a East LA VR meetup.
Do they fight?
Yeah. Bloods and Crips. So I mean, clearly it's blowing up in LA. Clearly there's money in media. Our interest is specifically in our, as brands. Our brand's going to spend money in VR. Our big companies, enterprises, going to spend money in VR, and because those are kind of our customers, our client base, and so far everyone's been seeing trickles, $50,000 projects, $100,000 projects. Where are the, $1 million, that brands spend? And we're just starting to, I think, answer that question. I think what, I don't want to talk about the work we're doing, but Absolute Vodka did a really cool brand partnership with deadmau5. And you should go check this out, but because it was like clearly a multi-million-dollar production, with Deadmau5. So there's money, there's lots of money that's, I think, starting to flow right now.
Is there enough audience there yet?
No. Yeah, I would say that there's not. So I would say that the long term in VR there isn't an audience, but there's actually statistically a higher set of reach that comes from 360 video to mobile devices right now. And so that's why you see, Absolute doing things with Deadmau5 that's more tied to something that's a less process intensive event, right? That's not really game. It could be game engine driven, but it doesn't have to be, because you could make a 360 player on Unity, for example, right? But it should be native because it takes less power.
Put the mic here.
Sorry.
There you go.
What I'm trying to say is, in the short term, the monetization will be driven by 360 video because it has more reach. We put out an app at South by Southwest. It was a dog food campaign, and we're currently in over 105 countries in the world, including a bunch of internet-regulated countries where they don't have access to things like Facebook 360 or YouTube 360, but they're very, very interested in the medium. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity that'll come from 360 video generating behaviors for end users that normalizes the idea of them having a face or something strapped to their face. That'll be really important while we watch at the same time Moore's Law kind of take more effect, processors decrease in size, energy capabilities increase, and then you have some compute offset to the cloud, I think.
So I think to step back though, just to say, that right now, incentivized content is where all the money is coming in. Right. To kind of zoom out and step back, people are paying for content to be created or paying for content to come to a platform. So just like with every early launch title, or Wii Sports came with the Wii, and so at some point it was developed and paid for by Nintendo to get created, right? So all these launch titles are being incentivized, and I call it the trough of sadness is what we're entering, which is the kind of the delta between the disillusionment of where investors believe that the uptake of devices is going to land versus where it is landing, and so you'll get a bunch of crazy press saying, oh, VR didn't take off like we thought it would, oh god, oh god, oh god. And so for the next 2 years, we're in the trough, and that's how it goes. And so staying alive during that trough is either through absolutely, getting upfront funding through partners, because again, HTC makes a headset. If they put it out, it's a piece of plastic with some lenses in it without good content. Right. That's what it comes down to. And so there's a symbiotic relationship between the content creators and the platforms right now. And so there's money going back and forth in order to create that content. Now, if you make a company today and you're going to put $1 million into building a piece of content and releasing it on a store today and saying, man, I hope we make a 4x, 5x return on this, it's not going to happen. So you need to think about, there's going to be a lot of companies, that go out of business during that trough of disillusionment because they're putting all their eggs into the basket and thinking that VR is going to go take off immediately. Whereas the companies that can somehow ride their way through that and emerge without stopping the process of scaling and getting ahead in the market, those are the companies that are going to win. So we started super early. We're raising capital in order to stay through that trough and continue growing and building great content and doing all the deals with HTC, Sony, Oculus, et cetera, and moving forward. So that's kind of how we're pulling that off from a business model standpoint, but that's, I think, the market right now.
I love it.
I'm going to make this one comment, and then I'm going to toss it to Justin to talk business model again. 2 years is a long time. You're hoping that in 2 years enough Christmas sales are going to happen to push PlayStation VR, Oculus, HTC, Google Cardboard, whatever. Can you prevent becoming 3D TV? Because that's the shitty end that none of us want to see for this.
We've already flipped over that. We're already over that bump. I think the path is already going.
3D TV was a feature set. It wasn't a new medium to create and tell stories about. You got folks that would shoot content and get really excited about the cameras and the tech behind it, but you wouldn't really get storytellers excited about, oh, I'm going to go out and make a new 3D movie. I think the reason why you see such a filled room of folks here interested in learning about VR is that we're all kind of in this boat together, wanting to figure out, one, how to tell stories in this medium, and that's exciting, and two, how to apply a feasible business model for this.
Business model? What is your business model?
Yeah, so we create experiences of impact for brands and agencies like Showtime, MTV, and Capital One for them The value is that they see higher engagement rates with the content that we create, because we're starting to crack the code of how do you tell a story with 360 video. For them, the benefit with 360 video as opposed to a game engine rendered experience is that they want to reach folks that already have a means to consume that content in their pocket. So that's what we've specialized in, and that's what we are working on.
The phone experience, the mobile VR experience, or?
Yeah, we're focused mostly on mobile VR experiences for that reason. We've been told by folks like Eugene, and who heads up, he's had a video at Oculus, and he's giving us information like that most of the content consumed by consumers as 360 video is on mobile devices. So when we set out to make a 360 video experience, that's very top of mind of how we shoot and capture things, and also how we encode it and distribute it.
How big is your staff?
We're at 6 folks now, so 6 full-time folks, and then we have a stable of directors and producers that we work with quite a bit.
What do you shoot on?
We shoot on a combination of the GoPro rigs that everyone knows, but our DNA is actually rooted in developing custom camera solutions. So I made one of the world's first open source Raspberry Pi powered cameras back in college because I couldn't afford the GoPro rigs. So that was a really fun exercise to learn what goes into making a 360 VR camera system. You see a lot of people out there shooting on nothing but the GoPro rigs, and it makes folks like myself and Ben and others that are familiar with shooting this content cringe, because that's like, you know, if you were to record this event and you were only going to use like a prime lens, like one type of lens, like you just wouldn't do that. So what we focus on, and what I'm proud to say, is that every single shoot we've done for a client, we've custom built a camera solution to tackle a creative challenge for them.
That is that's hard to scale. If you're custom building a camera solution for every single client, is there no camera, like where is the VR camera tech? Where is my Canon C100 of VR cameras?
Yeah, the camera tech right now sucks.
Okay.
So
how's the Lightro's got a new solution, supposedly?
They do, but their new light field camera for traditional videos right now is as big as a house. So condensing that down to a form factor to shoot 360 content is still a ways off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so scaling, building a camera for every project, you know, that won't scale out in the long run, but we're very much, you know, as we're entering the trough of sadness, as Alex likes to call it, you know, one of the things that we're focusing on is, you know, how do you start to build these camera systems where there is reusability, and simply put, there's
there's a business model to be had there too, I would think.
Yeah, and it's defensible to be able to give your clients confidence to know that, you know, we've shot in XYZ scenario, have tested, and come out with a solution that works really well.
And I can say too, on the other side, we have production opportunities where we actually go to Subversive because we know they have plenty of cameras, and then we can rent our gear from them. So we don't have to purchase, like as a group of producers in this town, right? We don't each have to go and purchase a $5,000 to $30,000 camera. So there are really good opportunities that are set up between the synergies that already exist amongst a lot of businesses up here, and how we collaborate with our tools, what we've learned, our software, etc.
That's a pretty substantial barrier to entry for the narrative storytellers that are already in the marketplace for traditional media, because they have very little opportunity to learn about how to operate these cameras. How do you build up I mean, you know, at some point when you are looking to scale, you need more producers, you need more DPs, you need more of these people. How are these people going to learn how to use this stuff?
They should reach out to me. I would love to. I mean, if you know how to.
Can we do a master class or something where you teach people how to shoot with this stuff?
That'd be really exciting, because that is a problem we do run into. I mean, for any shoot that we do, like if it's a 14-person shoot in LA, we have to, well, LA is a better market to shoot on, but we shot something for Procter & Gamble in Hawaii, and the fact of the matter was we couldn't find any local crew that knew the camera systems, knew the camera tech, knew how to capture content in a way that would actually look good in 360. So I think there is kind of like an uphill battle right now where, you know, we'd love to train, you know, a stable folks and freelancers and people that could work in the biz. That's kind of happening in tandem with the demand for content that we're starting to see.
Good, you are now committed.
There
What kind of budgets are you looking at for these kind of productions?
I would say it depends. I'll speak to proposals or folks that come,
What kind of RFPs are you getting in? For
Yeah,
these
yeah. So it ranges everything from, hey, we'll give you free press passes to XYZ event to, we have $500,000 to spend to throw around on this media campaign that's supporting the theatrical release of this and that movie, and what can you guys do for that? So it's an independent answer.
What, are you profitable?
Yes.
Muzzle tough. Okay, so, what? I can't use Yiddish?
No, I think yes, that's a good thing about services companies are, profitable, and yours is right now services company. That's our business. We have to be profitable.
I think we're the only original IP creator in VR right now that's profitable, just because of the upfront deals that we've been doing with partners. So that's extremely rare. Most people in our position are just leaking money left and right.
Well, it's the two sides of it. You've got the game design side, which is very much different from the, I guess, virtual reality side, the filmmaking, the on-the-rails experience. Tarun, with the clients that you're seeing coming in, are they okay with the fact that this isn't going to be seen by, what kind of KPI, what kind of metrics of success are they asking for, and how are you delivering that?
So this is an interesting one. First off, I think this is kind of the really interesting question here is what are CPIs going to be on VR? Because when we went from desktop to mobile, CPIs dropped by 1/10, right? We were paying $1 for impression on the desktop, but on mobile you're paying 10 cents to get someone to see something. So somehow it became that to reach someone on mobile was worth less than to reach someone on the desktop. But you're reaching more people on mobile, but that's, Now VR, you're reaching far, far, far fewer people. But I would argue that every time you reach someone, it's worth a hell of a lot more. Because if you think about watching a video on your phone versus putting on a VR headset and having this experience of, going to a foreign place or surfing, and that experience, I think, is more than an impression. It leaves an impression, and it becomes a memory. And a memory is worth a lot more than an impression. And I don't think you can, I think when I look back to what some of my first VR experiences, it's hard to separate those experiences from things that actually happened to me. So I'll give you one example with surfing, actually. So I learned to surf in Costa Rica recently. I think back to that experience, that memory, and I don't remember nearly as much as when I tried the surfing experience in VR. Now you laugh, but I think I was so focused on the surfing that I forgot to turn it into a memory, right? I was just in the moment. But with surfing in VR, I was looking around. I was like, I'm surfing. It's so cool. I have all this time to look around. But real surfing, I'm just trying to stay there. So the memory, I think, aspect. My hope is that the CPIs on VR will go even higher than desktop. If it's $1 on desktop, it's 10 cents on mobile. I think VR should be $10 CPIs. And if we just start there, we can keep it there. And I think a big part of that is quality. And slight detour, but quality is so important, in VR. In in desktop, you watch a video you don't like, you get bored, right? And you just stop watching it. On mobile, you try something that you don't like, you get annoyed. It's that's lagging, it's not working right. In VR, you get sick, literally, throw up. So this is a big part of the reason why we we like VR so much is because it values quality. And the people that can't produce at that quality, I think, will also die, really quick death, because you can sort of really tell the difference. I'd love to hear Alex's view on the quality issue, because I know you guys do really great work.
I was just going to say, I think that discussion on CPI, ignores the fact that more than half of the brands and companies that are jumping into VR today, I think, don't give a shit about the actual metrics and it's all FOMO based. Everyone's afraid of missing out on what happened with mobile, and they want to make sure they have a VR strategy. And honestly, getting a return on the, it's all marketing budget for a lot of these companies that are currently doing this. So that's what we've seen, at least.
I totally agree. Nobody's looking at CPIs right now.
I think that, actually disagree. I think that right now they are looking at CPIs, but they're definitely looking at KPIs. They're trying to generate different performance indicators, and the first wave of performance indicators were actually the amount of blog traffic that you generated from the first
100%.
piece that was generated, the first piece that was written about the fact that you got into VR. And this is one of the reasons why Thrillbox actually got into this space. When we first started, we wanted to be the next YouTube of VR, like everybody else. And we met with a lot of television networks and with a couple of different music labels, and their biggest concern was actually the cost of the production and not being able to have any key performance indicators that could show some type of value, even if it wasn't a capital-based return on investment, a different kind of investment, at least in the audience or traction or retention of an audience participant. And so what we found is that first wave of FOMO, they've gone through that, right? And so they're now looking at, oh shit, we just got a bunch of blog traction, and then they'll start talking about how they got more blog traction than they did actual app downloads or video views, and then that starts to get disseminated amongst the ecosystem. And so people are now being a lot more diligent with how and where they're spending their money and on what they are producing, and at the same time they're taking a lot more time to calculate really effective and tactical distribution strategies, because prior to, it was just you would couple together the produced piece of content, cross your fingers and throw it up on Facebook. And now people are realizing we're more in a period that's like at the beginning of whenever YouTube and Facebook happened, and then you had a JW player. So you wanted to be able to use a multi-channel, multi-platform marketing strategy where you can siphon audiences off of these larger platforms to a place where you can actually get a lot more information about the end user and then figure out how you can monetize it at a later
I'd
date.
say maybe in 360 video.
Yeah, in
as
360.
As it starts to become emerging out of early market into a mid-level market, but I'd say in the rest of VR it's still so early that FOMO drives almost everything in my mind.
Yeah, to that. I also kind of think we're all assuming like the current mainstream adoption of VR, we're looking at monetization of ad impressions and stuff, but we're overlooking, companies like Microsoft, they're releasing the HoloLens for business. There's an entire enterprise industry that will fund and basically keep us going through this trough of sadness. With some of our clients like oil and gas, we're building sales visualization platforms to help sell a rig or something, but ultimately we're getting into training, where if you're preventing one site shutdown a year on a rig, you're saving $100,000 a day to $20 million. And that's going to get us through the industry and really impact society beyond surfing.
So should Austin be a B2B VR town? Like just developing,
It's a medium, internet's not, the internet or PCs or mobile phones, it's not a B2B, B2C thing, it's a human thing, and it's evolving and everyone's engaging in it. Whether it's now or in 3 years, we'll see. But
nice turn.
I would say that, also one thing that the media just in general overlooks is intellectual property advancements in the VR space. We have Pokemon Go, which is its cool own little thing, but didn't really revolutionize functionality. Just it used existing IP with a strong following to revolutionize a marketplace for something that wasn't there. And I think when we're looking for the multi-million-dollar AAA VR experiences, the only people that can afford to be open about what they're developing are the people making independent titles and have the opportunity to partner with HTC or Valve or something, or Oculus, who are openly putting money into independent developers to make get you across that trough of disappointment or sadness.
I hate hearing about this trough.
I remember John Carmack actually.
I'm not sad at all.
About,
I'm happy.
The dip of happiness?
Yeah. Can we call it the
dip of
happiness?
Eat with chips. And I think Sony is going to be Sony is going to be the big overlooked intellectual property powerhouse and they always have been whenever they bring out their new platforms. They're internally spending a lot of money on existing teams that have built Sony PlayStation titles.
That new Arkham Asylum VR thing.
And like all other kinds of intellectual properties that haven't been announced that have been worked on for the past 6 to 8 months, you know, and have a really strong art team, millions of dollars in the bank for production, and we haven't even heard about it. And it's going to be existing on a intellectual property that we already love and we already know there's a strong following for. So I think those things are also going to be a surprise for a lot of people and show up these big like, oh, Pokemon Go just broke all kinds of metric expectations, but I think we're going to see a lot more of that, especially with the consumer virtual reality, like AAA experiences with the PlayStation VR, and then it's going to trickle out. I mean, the hardware for the Vive is so amazing, and their developer outreach is second to none.
But how many actual units are in the wild?
But again, like people spend money in their living room, on their cell phone, and in their car, and so that's generally they just haven't. Traditionally, he's been spending more than $400 or $500 maybe on like an all-in-one PC for their office, unless they're a Mac user, and then they spend a lot of money on MacBooks and stuff. But those aren't the VR necessary people. But I think that's going to change as we're already seeing $750 machines, and as we roll over to this holiday season, and by the next one with a much more proliferated HMD market, we're going to see very cheap machines, bundle deals, and we're going to see enough content in there of feeling like there's a marketplace to buy into.
I guess something to add. How many people? If you think about how many users, a lot of people are looking at sales of HTC Vive and Oculus and PlayStation. I would suggest that this is all just nonsense. We shouldn't pay any attention to high-end VR.
Early adopters, developers and stuff.
There's still going to be, even when it reaches full saturation, it's going to be single-digit millions, maybe double-digit millions of people that are using really high-end, VR, and that's a big number for the game industry. But for the rest of us, we don't care about that market. Mobile VR, I would suggest, is all we should be thinking about. And the reason why is because next year, Google's operating system update will have Daydream, which will be a VR-compatible operating system. Google will sell almost 200 million Android phones next year that are running the new operating system. Just think about this for a second. 200 million VR-compatible devices, perhaps, within the next few years. And at that point, everybody's going to have a VR device in their pocket. They buy the Gear VR costs $100. They give it to you free with your phone. So very soon, you have all these people out there with VR, phones in their pocket, and they have a little case that turns it into a VR headset, and the entire smartphone market is going to is a flywheel on the VR market. So, everyone's sort of looking at VR, going, "Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Next year will be." The year of VR or whatever. Not this year, but next year it's going to be the case.
There's one place where I see the high-end VR stuff actually doing well that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about yet, which is when the Wii first came out, there was one place that people weren't expecting it to take off that it really took off, and that was nursing homes. And with the number of baby boomers that are about to retire and that will be entering into managed care, there is can you imagine what VR could do to revolutionize? We've all seen that episode of Futurama, where they send Farnsworth off to the planet where they plug him in. I would certainly rather be living in some kind of VR experience. Am I the only one? You're sitting in a managed care facility. Hell, I want it on an airplane, frankly, to be sitting on VR on an airplane. But a nursing home would be a really interesting play to be made, and I don't know if anybody is doing that.
Let's start that company.
So this was kind of impromptu, but last fall my co-founder's grandfather wasn't doing so well and was in hospital. It was right when the consumer version of the Gear VR came out. We got it that week. So he asked if he could take it home with him because his grandpa had never been to the Grand Canyon. So one of the companies that we partner with had been before, shot 360 video there. So he was able to share an experience with his grandpa and let him see the interior of the Grand Canyon and riding down the rafts and in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and that was a really impactful emotional experience for him, and that was something that, you know, being bedridden, he couldn't have gotten up and done, and that was, you know, sadly, you know, one of his final memories. But what was magic about that was he was able to have that memory and have that memory with his grandson. So that, I think that's like something that you can't really do with a video on a screen. You can't really do with a photo on a mobile device. So yeah, I think that that's a really interesting.
Cool, yeah, no, we totally start that company. All right, let's open this up to questions. Yes, sir.
So, quick, how important is 360-degree spatial audio to your production?
Super important. That's another thing. Okay,
How
so
important is 360 audio to 360 production?
yeah, so we just made a natural disaster simulation video for a financial services company in which a house gets destroyed by a tornado. And so
It sounded like a freight train.
Yeah, it sounded like a freight train. So that, you know, that was really important for us from a narrative standpoint, because we were able to guide people where to look. We wanted them to see mementos on the walls that tied in the story, and also turn their head at the exact moment when a shutter flies at them as a VFX effect and smacks them in the face and acts as a transition to another scene. So, you know, I think that's something that's underlooked a lot in 360 video is, you know, one of the first VR 360 companies to be purchased by Facebook was actually an ambisonic audio company called Two Big Ears. So, yeah, it's super important, but just like in film, it gets overlooked a lot.
So I would like to add, like in interactive content, we found, and Dan Perry right here is in the back. He does our 3D audio at Alchemy. We found that audio was so damn important for VR. It's gone up the ladder, because audio has always kind of been unfortunately lower on the list as far as priorities and the time that it gets done in the production of a game or you know, any really. Mostly in interactive in games. But we found that we were doing an outdoor scene. Here's an example. And there was a bird chirping. We had this bird chirping sound, and players would look exactly toward where that bird was and see that there was no actual bird right at that spot. And so it turns out you have within 1 degree of accuracy in yaw and 1 degree of accuracy in pitch. If you just close your eyes and play a beat, you can point out exactly where that sound is coming from. And so we found, like we had there's all this stuff in Job Simulator, all these little appliances, like the microwave. We had to actually place a speaker on the model that was in the front, in the center, right where the panel was, because when we put the audio source in the center of the microwave, it actually sounded like there was, it was emitting sound from the wrong spot, and people were just looking at it confused. It's that important. That level of detail is actually needed when it comes to 3D positional audio. So we had no idea until we started building that, how insanely important it is, but yeah, and that's a good point about the first acquisitions that Oculus was making in spatialized audio.
There was someone over here that had a question. Yes, sir.
Charlie Wood, new EIR at Capital Factor. My question to all of you guys is, do you think that mobile VR is going to get good enough, fast enough, to not spoil the opportunity? Because it's awful right now. It's completely off-putting. And the people that I've shown Google Cardboard, they think it's interesting for a minute, and then they're like, wow, I'll never do that again because it was just bad. And then the people that I strap a Vive to their face are like, this is crazy. I'll never do this for the rest of my life. So will it get, you know, will we get to the point where we can have Job Simulator on a Daydream device, a compelling experience, before everybody decides it's not interesting?
The question is, will mobile devices ever, and the VR that's put on them, ever be good enough to actually be compelling?
I think
double mic.
Yeah, it's like that's my special effects mic for the room for the 360 audio. I think the mobile hardware is advancing really quickly, and though there are not a lot of maybe quality experiences that people are looking for comparatively to like the Vive or an Oculus or the PSVR. I think we are going to see some of that advance. We have on the cusp of hand tracking options for mobile devices and positional tracking, and that that changes a lot as soon as you get that in there.
Is that a secondary device or driven by like the camera?
Well, there's different manufacturers doing different things. Lenovo is building in the Google Tango phone. There's 2 other phones that are unannounced that are going to be tracking capable from their own technology. There's hand tracking, just having your hands, that changes a big part of the game. And then, people think of like you were saying, the marketplace is mobile. That's where all the people are, and that's where you're going to already have a screen that can pretty much do most of what you want to do. And then for the elite experience, you're going to want the Vive, you're going to want the Oculus. And I think there's a place there which we're trying to tap into heavily, which is cross-platform development. Cross-platform AR and VR development. Something that you can have a single IP and connect people across their devices, and then have actually the mass market of mobile VR people wanting to upgrade to the Vive, to the Oculus, to whatever else comes out next year that everybody's going to want, whatever Apple ends up deciding that they're going to announce first. And I think those things are going to be the things that whenever you can have an IP that branches across the different platforms, that's really big. Like we're doing the virtuality DJ experience, but it's multiplayer, and so you can have a DJ in their studio in the Vive playing and mixing beats, and then you can jump in 5 feet away from him, but from your living room, and see him moving, and you can cheer and draw stuff for him, and they're like, whoa, and you can do that in a Cardboard, a Gear VR, a Rift, a Vive, with somebody playing a Vive. And I think whenever people experience that, and like at VRLA, we were there in a big DJ booth, and having people experience the cross-platform thing, we kept hearing a lot about like, this is the thing, this is gonna be what carries AAA VR into the mass market, is that everybody's gonna already have a phone, and if you can have even just some small subset of the gameplay, it doesn't have to be the same experience, but if you can have a spectator mode even, that is huge. Spectator mode in the big Dota tournaments, if anybody has been following that, is phenomenal. You can jump in there in the Vive and look around, but you can do those kind of things if it's casual spectator mode with dumbed down graphics in a mobile VR, and you can really get it a lot, get your IP across to a lot of people, and get them aware about your elite experience, which is the premium $60 Steam store page or something.
I also think it's important to be cognizant of the Galaxy S7 came out. It had 4x antenna for multi-in, multi-out, right? So, and if you look at the history of who's involved in Oculus, like Iribe, who's one of the higher ups there, he was actually the founder of Gaikai. So Gaikai was the largest cloud gaming company that was purchased multiple years ago. It's kind of the backbone behind how people are looking.
What does this have to do with the question that was asked?
The reason it has to do with the question is because if a mobile device has more antennas in it, they can have more information that comes to it, and you offset the compute to the cloud, which is what the plan of Facebook is, right? So the whole point is that I don't have to have a tethered device. I actually do all the work in the cloud, and then I just have to worry about what the peripheralist input, or what is the peripheral input device, or is it peripheralless, or is it based off of doing local compute that comes from the sensors that are collecting the information that he's talking about.
Mic drop.
Actually, just so you know, the company that does that is Austin-based. It's a company called Leap Computing. They have a partnership with AMD and Gigabyte. They make their own custom chassis, and they're actually looking for people to work with. So,
boom. Next question, sir.
So, there's 2 ends of the spectrum in terms of on-the-rails content with 360 video, and then video games and kind of a truly immersive walk through the experience. Are you seeing any promising technology in democratizing content creation such that somebody can walk out with a camera and create something you can walk through? Or is it always going to be only video game people and Unity developers that can actually create truly immersive
Video games have ruined real life virtual reality. That on the rail experience, we're all too used to being able to play Call of Duty and wander wherever we want to go. That on the rails experience is, although we're used to it from a television perspective, is a complete disconnect from what we think of as a 3D environment. So, where's the processing power? Because you either need to have a Unity engine so powerful that it mimics life in every way, or you need such incredible processing power that you can in real time capture this room and render it.
Well, Josh, sorry, just to add to that, there's a whole other market that we haven't talked about at all, which is AR, which is, I don't need to create the whole environment.
Yeah.
Supplement it. But you
still have the problem of there's not enough interesting content in 3D period to stick into the real world. Even if I don't have to paint the whole room, there's not enough interesting 3D objects, and it's too hard for the average person to create that. So that's really my question, is like, how do we empower non-developers to create content? And are you seeing any promising tech there?
Damn good question.
I think that's why John Carmack was so excited about porting Minecraft to the Gear VR and to the Rift, and that's why he got fired up about that and dropped everything to work on it. Because in Minecraft, people have, and for years, created their own games, created their own metaverse in that. But to what you're talking about, to democratize like creation in AR, I think that's an interesting solve for a company to tackle. I mean, there's companies like Sketchfab where you can source 3D objects. But yeah, I don't think anyone's really answered that very well yet.
Well, in democratizing AR, my company TKM, we launched Lure Deals like a month ago, and that was leveraging the Pokemon Go, I guess, mayhem. And we basically came up with the idea for businesses to create a bounty or some sort of incentive to get players to then go to that business, play Pokemon Go. And with Niantic, they closed up their API and basically kept it such a lockdown system for a groundbreaking technology that literally overnight everyone knew what augmented reality was. And they had 30 million people basically doing free R&D, bug testing, and creating businesses within their own economy that they shut out. So in that sort of thing, just having your APIs accessible and not trying to own the field kind of enables content creators or creates an economy within that.
But there's no, I think what he's saying is, to a certain extent, there's no platform for content creators right now. There's no place for, I'm not even just a solitary content creator, I'm a publisher. And how do I start making content in this world? Short of, I took a theta to South by and I had someone dress up as Waldo and we played a 360 game of Where's Waldo. And that sucks. I mean, it's cute.
But you chose to use a theta, dude. That's
well, because he wouldn't build me a camera rig. So, yeah. So I think what it comes down to is how. How do other players get involved? How does someone who wants to do VR storytelling that isn't a programmer, that knows narrative really, really well, that all they're missing is the rig and a little bit of hands-on experience with it and a freaking mission. Like, where is the 24-hour film festival for VR? Where is the truly hands-on experiential thing that we can all do to get in on this stuff?
I think that's like asking, if you're a painter, how do you paint without learning how to use a paintbrush? And that, like, you have to invest the effort to learn how to paint with a paintbrush. And I think,
yeah, but right now we don't even know where to find the paintbrush.
Also addressing
Unity.com.
Well, even addressing what he was kind of hitting on too. For VR development, Steam VR has paved the ground. Like no developer outreach group has ever done what Steam VR has done over the past 2 years. They've reached out and spent millions of dollars getting Vives into people's hands, working with them, creating a forum of a good community where you can go and get answers. But with AR, what are the options to develop a HoloLens experience? First of all, there's not really hardware out there. There are Vives for sale. You can buy the Oculus and get it delivered to you. But mass market AR smart glasses just still aren't out. Whatever Apple's doing, we'll see, like I say, I think the first time we see that, it's gonna be like Ashton Kutcher or Beyonce wearing it, and everybody's gonna be like, that is awesome. They're gonna be flirting with them on, and you're gonna want them. And I think that's gonna be a big winning factor, but until you can buy something like that, there's not, even for the developers, I've developed HoloLens experience, Epson Maverio, Meta glasses, and all those different platforms, those have, at best, very difficult technical plugins that you have to work with. With HoloLens, you actually right now have to download it's like a custom version of the Unity editor that you open up, and it has the HoloLens support built into it. And that's changing, but that's early on because the hardware is not it's not there yet. So once they come, then we'll see.
I would speak to
just really quick. I think to summarize, the professional experts in this field are barely figuring out what is possible in the field already. And so there's a huge market opportunity to create something that allows other people to create content. So that would be an amazing thing to be building today. But I think we are a bit out from that. It's just so early.
How
it's
far
just
out?
not-
And like I look at your VR meetups, and they're huge, and you have great attendance. What percentage of those people are programmers? 99?
No.
I mean, I think about like what percentage of people that are coming to these VR meetups are filmmakers?
So last VR meetup that we were at, actually, it was pretty funny. The guy's in the front row now because we converted him, I feel like. So he came in railing hardcore on 360 video and VR, and then we talked to him about some of the techniques and the experience.
Travis
it
is
was
a
going. Yeah, but this gets to a bigger point of, our creative director, Russell Vargo, he used to work in Los Angeles shooting major motion pictures, and whenever he saw what we were up to, he moved to Austin, and he committed, almost 2 years of his life of just looking at producing 360 video as a passion project, so he could understand things, because ultimately, there's a lot of people that think that they can produce content, but they haven't taken the time to understand the hardware like Austin has, to understand that every circumstance that your client has that they envision, we want to do this shot inside of this car and it to have like this great resolution, and the reality is the type of camera that does that is not capable of having them all, like an array of them in a car at the same time, right? And so it's these different types of challenges that require you to have a different understanding of like light, of the technology, and also just different practices because of how the output happens. And so I think the people that are really the outstanding professionals and the experts in the 360 video arena are the ones that when they first started, they did the projects for free because they're like, why are you paying me? Because we're all research and developing together, right? And then they've gotten enough under their belt to where they can start to go to some of these bigger groups. So yeah, if you're gonna Rico's Beta and you're gonna run around and do your own thing, then it's cool that it's what you're doing. But if you're gonna go out and try to set stuff up and understand like what is the current guidelines and the different practices that are people like Subversive and folks like Russell and other production groups, the standards that they're trying to generate and the techniques they use for post-production, it's very, very meticulous. But there's a strong community around that. So I suggest anyone that's interested in that, looking up the 360 Video Professionals group on Facebook, it's an open book. Like everyone talks about all the different techniques that they use, all the different software that they use. It's really easy to navigate and everyone's really friendly.
So the answer to the question is, if you want to learn and you want to get into it, you need to come to these events. And you need to dive in, and you just stop talking to other video and traditional media people and start talking to the people that are pushing the envelope and actually embedded in the technology. It's the only way we're going to learn.
And there's already a competitor, I think the first person doing this about actually allowing creatives that don't have technical experience to create interactive video content in VR is called Visionary VR. I think that's the name of it. I'll describe it. I wish I had the ability to mind cast a YouTube video right to that TV right now. But it's
that'd be a cool wearable.
That's
totally cool.
Basically, it's you have a little actor. You scale yourself up to a large scale, and you've got the set, and you've got these little actors that you can place, and you can actually move them around and hit record, and then move the characters around and do the locomotion, and then you can basically become them. And so you've got your head and your hands tracked within Oculus Touch or HTC Vive, and so you do the motions and basically like say a line and record the audio and then cut back as director, and you can embody an actor, go back, scrub back, embody the second actor, have a conversation with yourself, get the different camera angles, produce an entire video, and publish it, and that's funded by...
There's a word for what that is. It's called animation.
Right, I mean, it's basically you have your own claymation studio right in front of you in VR that doesn't even exist, and you're the camera, and you're the entire crew, and you've got all the modeling and all the set creation all in front of you, just with your hands in VR. It's pretty insane.
It's really yes, Michelle.
So I just wanted to point out that the University of Texas actually has a 3D and VR film program in their RTF department, so hopefully we're training out producers for you guys. And then secondly, in that vein, what do you know, who's doing stuff sort of in the educational space or psychology or kind of these things that are not sort of the linear entertainment or gaming, but all the different pieces?
Texas State is doing some really good stuff. They've got a professor there that has been in the VR space for quite a while and using VR for treating, for therapy, for treating disorders. I think one of my favorite ones is a speaking disorder. How many of you are afraid of public speaking? Raise your hand. Yeah. So it's a common affliction. And there's like a VR speaking simulator that's on the store that I think I really like. I got a couple of questions. How many people have read Ready Player One? Okay, the rest of you, please go read it. It is like the VR book. You won't regret it.
I wanted to step back into the like outside of the entertainment platforms. So I'm working with Seton and a few other partners on specifically like a chemotherapy platform for pain abatement, nausea abatement, and then even perceived time. So like if you play Fallout or Skyrim, 10 minutes is actually an hour and a half. Same concept, but if you do your research on this, there's 20 to 40 years of research in every field imaginable in VR. And you can call up professors at Duke, you name it, all around the world and talk with them about these research projects they funded, they've done, executed, and actually how to navigate that space if you have a platform that's emerging. Because this actually has been done, it's just converting the technology and the ideas to the people that are already, I guess, in the space or found pillars in the space.
Yeah, actually, Andrew and one of the organizers for the new 360 video and VR event that's happening next week. They've done a lot of that with Breckenridge Hospital. They've been doing and Dell Children's Hospital. They bring the Gear VRs and Merge VRs and play them through Eden River, which my co-founder Aaron Limke made. And it's like a tranquil guided meditation experience. And not only is it there's a cool factor of, I get to play with VR, because that helps a patient, but there's also the pain management and just the displacement. You become completely, you have presence in that. And wherever you're in presence, if you're not thinking about your surroundings, it kind of separates that. And in regard to the user-generated content side of where we want, a lot of marketing companies want to come and they say, well, I just want to skin this type of template and make our experience for the cheapest amount possible, and maybe even make 5 different ones down the road as we update our content or do a different project. Is Jim Cherry here? Hey, Jim Cherry, he owns Service Media, and one of the things they're doing is, I think, getting in front of that. He has a strong background in server programming and back-end, and they're building a back-end to allow user-generated content creation. So they can build. He builds these templates and these 360 video experiences and interactive VR experiences and geolocated AR experiences, and then builds a website interface to be able to customize it. And I think that's a big thing, to upload your own 360 videos, to upload your own art, to upload your own marketing brands, and then customize without being a programmer. I think that there's a big win on that, especially whenever they want to come back and do the second app, the third app, or change the first app after the third app, or things like that.
There's also troop morale. I look into morale issues. So special forces and different people that are deployed overseas. How nice is it to be able to have an opportunity maybe to experience like a kiddo's birthday or a Thanksgiving meal or something like that, just to have a moment of escapism from the, going and defending our liberties, right? And there's a lot of opportunity, right, in being able to share those type of experiences. And conversely, you have the astronauts. So Thrillbox was awarded the right to launch an omnidirectional camera to the interior of the International Space Station. And one of our goals for doing that is to provide terrestrially the astronauts that are on their way up. They'll have the Stros that are up there that do a tour, right? Because it's supposedly like a 16-year-old boy's bedroom. It's just stuff's just stashed everywhere. It's just floating all around. And so they want to be able to, right before they come down, have a virtual tour that they do of it's a 360 video that then they can send down, so then the Astros can actually be looking at it and studying it on their phones. So then when they go up, instead of spending the first 3 days actually going through and being told where everything's at, they can limit some of that time, which decreases oxygen consumption, decreases the amount of food, right? Increases the amount of time, or it increases the amount of time that the scientists get to collaborate on projects instead of just trying to become familiar with the space.
All right, so we are coming up to the end of our panel discussion. We have 2 quick announcements to happen. One from Josh Baer, right here, head of Capital Factory, also still very much on topic.
Awesome. Hey everybody, it's great to see such a full room. We are so excited. We're totally drinking the VR Kool-Aid. There was another meetup here last night that was that I was watching on the live stream. That was the Stream VR meetup, and it just seems like there's more and more stuff going on. And one of the questions that was just asked a few minutes ago is, how do you learn about this? How do you plug into it? And obviously coming here is one part of that. But I think the bigger picture that says is one of the big ways you learn about this stuff is by being around other people that are doing that kind of stuff. And that is actually a great use of a co-working space in a community like this. And so something we're working on that I wanted to kind of seed out there is we're going to be building out a bunch of VR space here at Capital Factory over the next few months. We really want to make sure that if you want to go learn about this and build on it and develop on it, that this is an obvious place to go start and go do that. And so we're starting to build up a waiting list of people that are interested in that. So if that's something that you'd be interested in and you want to work on, email vr@capitalfactory.com and just let us know so we can keep you in the loop as that comes online. And if you know any other companies that would want to be part of that, these are all obvious ones that we've already talked to. But companies that we want to be part of that, or other people that want to connect into that, let us know. So thanks for coming, and again, that's vr@capitalfactory.com.
And the second thing is I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here. Again, my ultimate goal for putting these panels together is to facilitate the breaking down of silos and to get people paid, ultimately, because creatives, admittedly, occasionally they should work for free, but most of the time I would like for them to get paid. And so we've got an event that we're working on. Is Douglas still around? Douglas from Caborator. Caborator is an online marketplace for creatives that has been kind enough to help sponsor these events. They provided your tacos. He's going to... So Douglas, tell me a little bit about the Austin upfront the event we're doing.
Yes, so Capital Factory Studios, Josh, and Ashley have been so kind and awesome partners with us to devise what we are calling the Texas video fronts. You know what an upfront is in New York, or the new fronts. We're taking that, we're ripping it off, and we're making it a fuckload better for Texas, in Texas, and by Texas. And it's going to have a number of different multi-track events for film, video, VR professionals, connecting them to people in the city of Austin as well as around the state who are paying for content and also needing to hire professionals to make that content for them. So the very first track that we're going to be doing is called the Video Professional HR Accelerator, which takes the tools from Caborator, because we're an online marketplace that connects professionals to companies, and we'll take those online tools and we will connect the companies and the professionals through the site, and they're bringing them together here on October 12th, to where essentially you will be vetted and the cream of the crop will be picked. You'll be able to meet those companies who are hiring. One of those companies is actually here, called South by Southwest. They're interested in meeting really talented professionals for the projects they have upcoming. Stephen Light and his team are right here. They're hiding, but they will be here to meet with some professionals. So that's just one of the companies that will be here. We're picking up more companies along the way, and it's a really awesome opportunity. So I really encourage you to check out Caborator.com. Go on, create a profile, and we'll be sending out more information as to what companies will be posting jobs, what those jobs will be, and that gets at LB in October.
So lots of job fairs in this town for programmers. Now we're trying to put those together for media. Now, get you money. You personally money. So, Finn?
I was going to also say, for opportunity, game jams, hackathons, incredible opportunity. I've seen some successful studios come together from hackathons, especially like the HTC Jam that Alex helped put together with Valve and Oculus and his team. And Phaser Lock, they came out of that, funded, and are one of the release titles. And in the very near future, we have some really cool stuff coming up. There's an AEC hackathon, which is like architectural engineering and VR AR coming together. There's going to be solid people looking for content creators there, and the developers that show up to that are probably going to have your doors beaten down from these other side of the industries showing up to this, trying to find content creators. And then the Austin Game Developer Conference at the end of September. There's a whole AR VR track on that. And we got Graham Devine, who's the chief creative officer of Magic Leap and created Seventh Guest in the 11th Hour and stuff. He's going to give the keynote, and there's a really strong AR VR focus for the conference, and so I urge you to jump into that because it's going to be really cool at the convention center.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming. As I've said before, Austin Media is a team sport, and we're all on the same team to beat everyone else as hard as humanly possible. You got more questions? Bum rush these people. Thanks for coming.
gonna do a selfie real quick. Hey everybody, we're gonna do a selfie real quick. If I knew how to do a selfie correctly. Ready? Ready, one more? All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. All right. were down in VR. It was there was a thing of bamboo, like little rings of bamboo, and I felt the bamboo as I ran my fingers down it. It was like and my fingertips. It was really really weird. Good job, man.
I'm on this VR and I'm not going to know by the out.
It's fun though. I watched my buddies playing Midland, and that is the one where you're like Spider-Man, you're like swinging around, and you shoot out the skating things, and when he was on a concrete floor, and he just goes, he just jumps like sideways and just like on the ground, just leveled himself, and he was like, oh god, like he took off the H&D, like dude, what happened? He's like, I jumped, like thinking I was like swinging sideways, he just jumped, like he just went out, like, he was all embarrassed, like, good stuff. Side is just sweet, like, it's hot. Oh, you were here? I think that was like, okay, here's one for like we got it covered, like the networking, like
to say what it should be, but like even last night we didn't have time to get through everything, so we did like just cover a few things, and it's like if it's going to be highly technical and you only have 2 hours, like show you either have to show them, but they're going to be
Oh yeah? Cool. My birthday, I was here at the meetup. I was like, cool,
say, hey, I want to get some of my stuff there. I'll get down to that execute build. Because the last one having your kickoff event, it's going to have a kickoff event, so then carry on. Then you can reach out now to Alex I was the girl that was sitting right there in the corner that worked for Alchemy. She's like, there's she's the one who would need to talk to for talk to Alex and like reach out to the organizer to that like contact them meet up because they're sharing and they're the ones like that are actually like now we just otherwise it'll be like you'll just be so easy magically show up to these events and like their engineers do not think they are more. Like I tried to get to IR here yesterday. They were going to come. They were coming and they were going to get with us. And then I'm not paying for it.
We're coming from kind of a point cloud for architectural engineering construction applications. So it's like, I don't know, like I haven't really figured out how like capturing like 3D data in terms of point cloud and tie into this, but it seems like
yes, there is. There might be some.
Always closing. You see, I'm always closing.
Yeah, so we're trying to do like
we're like starting to look at it because it seems like, kind of like we all were talking about, like it was around for a while, people were really interested in, and then there was like 5 years where they like made it a lot better, and now they're trying new things, and it's like,
yeah, we need to contact you. We want to talk to you too. Because you really wanted to get in. There's a way of doing all this stuff. Please, I want to talk to you next week. We want to work with them on a project. We're going to be talking about it all going to show some really good things, but we want to talk about it. It might be a great opportunity.
Margarita? I like margaritas.
Hi. I remember you.
Why aren't there apps for that so we can just make it without having to know how to do right out of the box. Never been done. And oh, I can make it. I can go buy a camera so I can make videos for engineering. Engineering, all of it. Yeah, y'all are going to go a lot because y'all are going to get they're just like, we know how to spend money in this way. This is how we spend our money, but this is how we spend money. We're not going to spend money in a new way. But we want to do VR. This is how we spend money. This is how we'll spend money. Can you fit into this box? And Game of they're like, we got a box. You know, you guys sit in the conversation for these microphones right here. Interactive media developers.
All of you at least 3.5, 4 feet away.
Companies that they're like, no, we make a production, we have a marketing production, and we plan it out, this is how much we're spend, and it's astronomical compared to what like even a video game company needs. They just don't fit inside the development box. So like, how that's done. So, for y'all to have something like this, and you see like some development to appreciating your right. I was like, are y'all here? Are y'all here? Someone. That's okay. We got a house. It's like a house that's going to turn into an office space. It's awesome, right? Totally throw a camera there.
Right now we work with like we're stuck we're the same money
yeah, I like professional spaces, like industrial look, like this kind of stuff, complete design. Whenever we were looking at all the different places, we found some really cool offices. But then, as we looked at some of the houses, like the office spaces, it was like, this is neat because we're doing DJ experience, we're cranking up the music, we're all musicians. It was just like this being in a house would make sense. Plus, we like to throw a big party, and we throw good parties. So I think that's a big piece of what we do. We don't have a hot house. That's probably a good thing.
Yes, it was crazy. Everyone changed the studio dynamic. And they were all like our boss was like, we need you guys to do a hot tub today.
I don't know if you knew that, but it's not what I do.
This is part of your job.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the AEC. I find it's going my position as like a programmer, designer, idea guy that can build stuff is I gotta like for hackathons, and I think everybody has to watch out for this. It's like it's really fun at the beginning. Like hackathons are freaking awesome. I love that first hour or two where you're just brainstorming and coming up with ideas, meeting people you don't know, and like learning their skills and what they can use for. Versus about hour 3, hour 4, if you didn't give us the right project, some people get very discouraged about that. They're like, I'm not really feeling it. They end up leaving after day 1, and they don't even do it. And so I think to keep that, what I've done in the past, I've just been very fluid. I've always been like, the past few hackathons I've done, I've tried to like
like not lock myself into what I'm doing. I want to be the last person and have 12 ideas versus like we're already working on something. I don't like that idea. Like that's like, whoa, really? Like you just stopped doing the best part of this whole experience. So I think keeping it fluid all the way through the first couple of hours is really hard to do because you're like, okay, is that what we're gonna do? And be like, hold on, let's keep it fluid. Let's not lock into have this. Let's bring some more cards on the table and see if maybe there's a better idea. Like even once you're happy with the idea, keep that idea that you're happy on. You can always go back to it 20 minutes later if you don't come up with something better. But it gives you the opportunity to like stay pliable, give your developers, especially the programmers, an ability to like get their design ideas in there because the programmer never. Well, and it's like then there's the content side of the creation where it's like you need 3D artists and graphic designers to show up in these events as well because you want a HUD menu and you want some art in there and you want some up to and like that's super important, but it's also important for those people to realize like the first day when you're working on something like content like the programmers planning to work all the way through those 2 days, building things all the way to the last minute, but they never anticipated by the end of day 1 or the end of day 2, content creators like 3D artists and graphic designers start finishing what they've been doing, and now the programmers also have to stop what they're doing from the functionality and implement, and that's a big, like I just game jam for like me and 9 artists. And like the first day is awesome, everybody's working and I'm like giving them ideas and how to do it. And the next morning I have like 12 emails when I wake up and I have like, it's everybody's FBXs and all the animations and the front end menu and I'm like, I'm still working on this other side which I can't even touch your stuff yet. And then then it's like the last 6 hours of the hackathon and everybody's like, cool, like, so we're good? We're good? And I'm like, yeah! That's basically every hackathon I've ever done. Is that last? Yeah, but it's always fun on the implement. And so think of that as you're like as you're going to be building your content and planning what content you get. Like the sooner you can get your implementer a gray box version of what it is, like early on, the sooner they build in the pipeline for getting your artist. If you're saying, hey, we're going to have a house, we're going to have 3 planks, we're going to have a door that swings open, we're going to have a person that's out front and a dog in the yard, and then as an artist, you just give them all those placeholder pieces, even though that's not the final art, you already give them it. They'll like go ahead instead of gray boxing it, they'll use your gray box. To implement it back over, that's like, that's really where, I think that's where experience. They already have it in there. Now they can get their head around it. Like next morning, right? And they're still working on like the system that moves the camera through the place projects, and then you start giving them the projects in place instead of like saying like for this camera drawing with the artist I've ever done. So like as soon as we start working on it, the artists like right now do an analysis or the IT project, get the asset list, get the artist to create like a blocked out file from each one of those, and then get it over to the content creator so that the Unity project, the real project, has that living in it. And then it's really easy for the programmer to wrap their head around like how much is it going to take to put all this stuff in. Whenever somebody finishes one card, they're like, cool, boom, it's in. You're not having to think about like, well, how big should it be, where should it be, because you've already done that. It's a great box. You already got that design out really early on, and I think that's just what I've seen as a big bottleneck for game jams. I think that's a lot of game jams.